Good morning, everybody. It's still pretty early out west, and it's early in Ontario. I start very early, so for a lot of people, 9 p.m. Eastern time these days is pretty late for me. I got to get up mighty early for the nuclear industry here, so that's just the way it is. But we're going to have a good talk here. I'm going to see who logs on. A lot of people will catch up with the video later on. We have to have a talk about fear and division. There's a whole right side to this equation, and there's a whole left side to this equation. I have talked about this to the ends of the earth. You can find in my timeline over years. It's essentially everything about me as a libertarian. I'm strongly grounded with the Republican Party, that grassroots. I think it's why I've always had a good relationship with Kentucky persons. Mitch McConnell, his whole group, that portion of the former Trump administration, and of course the ambassador to the UNSC. She's a friend of mine. She's on my Facebook. She's on my Twitter as well too. Sent her many letters. She's read them all, and she's deemed it that we're going to be friends, and we are friends. So, she's been replaced, but I can't stand division and fear. I'm one of these people that when I look into things, everybody, I see everybody's coming on now. When I look into things, I try to get the experts credited, absolutely specialized in whatever thing I look into. So I'm just going to ask you all a reasonable question here, and then you all think about this. Let's just put the virus to the side here for a second. If you were in trouble with the law, let's say you get into a conflict with police outside of this whole COVID, and criminal charges are placed on you. When you pick up the phone and you call a lawyer, do you call a divorce lawyer for criminal charges in criminal aspects? Or do you call a specialized lawyer who spent their career specifically for one area of law? Constitutionalism. That is one specified area of law that lawyers can branch off to. There's civil rights lawyers, there's human rights lawyers, and there's levels. There's levels like everybody. There's different levels of intelligence and knowledge among all of us human beings, and some of us can gravitate to certain areas in our life, and we become specialized. There's doctors. I know one who's a master heart surgeon. I also know another one, and this is from my home province, who's a master of diabetes and the study of islet cells, and is world-renowned, number one in the world for doing transplants in that area of cellular. I also know another specialized doctor who is a veterinarian, who is one in the top 10 of Canada best viral experts and animal testers in all of Canada. In fact, top 10 with including the USA. So that's tremendous when you look at population, how many doctors there are. These are tremendous individuals. You can go about this as any average citizen. You can go out and find these people. The problem with division and fear now, and why this is important to reach out to all of you today. If I go to an accountant and say, hey, look, this expert accountant is telling me all about finance and investing, you're not going to do well at all. The accountant's great at balancing books, but they're not going to understand the financial industry, not so whatsoever. So getting back to fear and division, left, right, and people grabbing narratives, grabbing experts. And I appreciate everybody and a lot of videos people share, but they're trying to bolster their reasoning, their ideologies, and They think, oh, I'm right, I'm 100% right. Look, I have these experts in unrelated fields. They got a doctor in front of their name. Or this is a lawyer of civil law, but you're not even talking civil law. We're in a whole nother area of law. And then the person's trying to tell me that this person knows more. And it's like, if they did, they would have specialized in that field. They would have completed a career in that field, everybody. Doctor means nothing. It's like welder. I'm a welder as well as an economist. I'm a master of pressure industry, whether you all understand that or not. I'm a master of that. I mastered that area. There's not very many procedures in pressure welding that I haven't looked at or been involved with. I'm looking at going into one here in Ontario that maybe only a handful, like a surgeon, like a heart surgeon, welders will ever experience in their life. And they have to go through stages to get there. So a welder who's a structural welder is not going to have any clue as to any of these operations I'm doing over here. Now, maybe heard of them, maybe have a little better understanding than most the rest of the average population because they went to school for welding, but they never specialized in that field. They never got hands-on. They never worked in the technology, let alone do any research whatsoever or practical application. This is what's scary with narratives and division and fear and how people harness that. We see it in environmentalism, and we see it over here in the anti-vax movement. I clearly see which ones are fake, which ones are not, but most people don't, and they get afraid. They get divisive. And when you start saying, shun this portion of the population because they're believing in this and you don't believe in that, so now you're going around and you're spreading fear and division, saying, don't associate with these people, don't get involved with these people, don't even have human contact with these people. Guess where that puts you? Radical social left, radical social right. Doesn't matter, but it's literally crazy. It's craziness, and it's sad. It's sad that so many people will fall for it, and they do. And the government goes like this because they're helping perpetuate it. That's absolute. I was involved in that yesterday. Canada Stronger, major PAC for the Conservative Party. I was sequestered as I'm chatting, but I watched all the fearful conservatives, the far-right conservatives grouped in, and the government's just going like this. Oh boy, I can harness this fear, this division, just like the left does. If you think the right doesn't do it, why do you think we have extreme socialism, extreme lockdowns, extreme division of peoples? And of course we have radicals speaking out. Oh, I have experts from here, not even related to the field that they're talking about, but it's somebody with a doctor or a lawyer designation, even though, or an economist, talking about an area that they're not specialized in, never have been, don't even work in the community of peers worldwide in that area. They're not accredited in any real way in that area of specialty, wouldn't even be ranked in the top 10,000. Just people coming forward with their own ideologies, their own ideas, with maybe a little more understanding than a lot of the average people, but they are not specialized. It's grapes versus watermelons, and people will run with the grapes. Historically, which I love history, everything I do, I always pull forward the history. History of human beings has always been pitchforks, fire, and you know what? It's always an elite force, an elite society that absolutely crushes the little people, because they get the little people tearing apart each other, and the little people will go through so much governmental abuse through history, time and time again. because they go at each other. They find groups to blame, whether that's religion, whether that's ideology, whether that's technology, whether that's science. It goes on and on and on, and they will get group against group. Meanwhile, these elite who sit back, they laugh, they collect all the money, and while you're all distracted with things that are absolutely cockamamie, they rape the living hell out of you. Conservative Party's going to do it. I've got their whole publication. People still in mass numbers won't look at it. You've got conservative politicians, you've got NDP politicians absolutely destroying you through civil right atrocities to get you to give up your charter rights. You got it from every party. And and I'm a real conservative. I'm just not the conservative of Canada anymore. Haven't been for a very long time. And it gets scary. You start thinking, should I just bite the bullet, give up, go to America, go be where you're probably going to belong? At least there's a majority of people who think like you in one party. Whereas, we look at Canada, that is a super minority. And people think they're conservative and they say they're conservative. When the people are conservative, but not the political parties, not the structure of Canada, not whatsoever. And I get people get scared, they get divided, so they start coming up with radical ideas. People say, "Oh, the only way is revolution," and it's like, if you think Canada's ready for revolution or anywhere close to that, you're sadly mistaken. It takes massive slaughter of human beings to even get to that point. Historically, people will starve, lose everything they have, line up at bread lines by the masses, people. There's history, just recent, of entire countries' populations, 1/3 of it being wiped out before the people really fought back. That's the human nature. And governments, the elite, those who have this need to have power and control over you, most human beings want this. It's a sickness of the human genome, the species. People have a need, a lot of people have a need to control other people. And if given the opportunity of autocracy, most human beings will take it. Historically, that's the norm. We work hard as a human species, very hard. We've developed religion and other means to try and fight back against that. In legal terms, that's constitutionalism. That's where rights and freedoms come from. But there's always a need for human beings to suppress it. My way, absolute. Yours is wrong. The way you want to live your life shouldn't be. I should control that. My ideologies are way up here and yours should be down here. Most human beings gravitate to that. The free world that's in working progress, the world in working progress, which is always going to be a fight, probably for the human species, tries to fight back against that. But the majority don't want that. And we see that. That is the radical left, the radical right, and they do it all the time. There's no difference in the human psyche of these two spectrums. There's none. When you go so far left, you find the radical right. When you go so far to the right, you find the radical left. That is absolutely the truth. And you see it. And it's scary when people start following this because they're afraid. When they start championing division of the people, to me, that's the most scary thing going. That's the most scary thing going. I always find solutions. That's what I bring forward. That's what the CCP is all about, Canadian Constitutionalist Party. to give the power to the people, to teach people to respect differences, appreciate civil, charter, and human rights, enshrine government so no matter how far in the future we go, the government will always be limited in what they can do and what they can do against the people. That's what you need. Not divisive fear tactics, right or left. Oh, this is going to alter your DNA, or if you associate with these people. As soon as people tell you not to be involved with the ideologies of other people, or this person's somehow evil, or they're going to hurt you, or when they start doing that, and it's pitchforks and fire and the people, you've already been beat. You've already been played. You're already becoming part of the problem. And governments just love it. Conservative, NDP, Liberal, they just clap and love it. Oh boy, look at all the agendas we're rolling out while these people are locked in a tunnel vision of what's right now, can't see the future, the past, history, or nothing else. Just look at exactly what's in front of them. Boy, we got the blinders on like cattle, like horses, putting horses in a line of a carriage. You know, for you rural people, if you ever dealt with horses, you know what I'm talking about. That's what they do to the people. They put blinders on you, and while you're stuck in that tunnel, they are just exploiting the living hell out of you, getting wealthy beyond belief. Don't care, they're going to get their few years in, go ahead, replace them. They've already established so much bloat in government, societies, foundations, corporate foreign interests. That's what they're doing. Carbon tax, people are mad about it. Those who look ahead, that's nothing. That's nothing compared to what the Conservatives are rolling out. Nothing. Much the same in different terms as the Liberals. Specific to certain groups here in Canada, a lot of people are seeing it. Small minority groups are rising up, but how is that going to go if we can't get the truth out, the real narratives, when so many are trying to divide? And then you begs the question, why are you trying to get people against people when you know you need the masses? Why alienate anybody? Why? Why in these tough times would you alienate anybody? Why? Well, because you want them to fail, that's why. Because somehow you're part of that problem. There must be a tie for you to some other interest. And guaranteed that's foreign. That's part of the New World Order agenda too. And there's a left and right spectrum to that. They don't really care. 2 bags, 2 policies. Do you think they care if it's the globalist, capitalist reset where you have a very few wealthy billionaires running the world? Or do you think it matters if a government in absolute power of a party with the same corporate oligarchs running the intricacies of society, and most of you are down in the dumps, way down here, worth nothing, garbage? Because that's the historical norm. That's what history and current world shows us, that the human condition gravitates to that. People will gravitate to that. There's no shortage of nations. They outnumber the stronger nations that have systems of democracy varying, as a lot of them are going down. Looks like we're losing, and that's because of the people, and that's because of fear and division. And it's when you start attacking your fellow man or their beliefs, or instead of just saying, hey, that's their choice, let it be. Especially when we go with cockamamie and we get real radical and we start going, oh, if this person does that, they're this, or I hate this person because of that, and then that person hates you because of this. It's too much, man. It's scary. It's scary. Really scary. That's my video. Share it out. Get it out there. I hope it enlightens people to stop, think, Look for the credible experts. In any field you look at, go with the top experts of that field who spent a lifetime in that area. Don't just go with, oh, it's a doctor, oh, it's a lawyer, oh, it's a financial person. Look at what they're specialized in and what they're talking about. If they're talking about something that they've never worked in their entire life, in real life. And I know for average people you understand what I'm talking about, because it's one thing to read a book, it's another thing to put your hands into something, and it's another thing to not only have read the book, wrote a bunch of books, done all the work, and work in the field for a very long time in that field. That's what average people have to do, and you will find your truths, your absolute truths. Don't just go with, I got a designation. What does that designation mean? Where have you been working for the last 40 years? Oh, not in that area. Boy, oh boy. Not something to follow, really. Not something to follow at all. I wouldn't. Would you allow a person who's worked on lawnmowers their whole life to do major work on your BMW? Think about it. You wouldn't. You wouldn't. It's like people who go to Canadian Tire and they have all kinds of problems, and people do get suckered. That's kind of like what we're talking about here. Would you go to Canadian Tire to have your motor done? No. You go to an engine specialist. That's who you go to. The engine specialist only works on engines. Transmission specialist only works on transmissions. They get to see all kinds of cars. That's what they work on. There's a guy who does oil changes. Do you think he can replace your engine and do a good job? No. That's what we're talking about here. It's no different than the rest of it. And people will give you narratives. Oh, look, I found a bunch of experts in the field. And then they have a fancy designation, but nobody bothers to look at the designation. You're getting a guy who does oil changes to talk about engines. I don't think so, folks. I don't think so. Bye now.